So in order for your project to work with the Microsoft Project Add-In, that is a VSTO application written in Visual Studio, and the language I've used is C# and it's a bespoke application. So we need to configure the project in the desktop application. That means it's Project Desktop is a standalone application. You know, you get different versions of Microsoft Project Online, which is basically SharePoint hosted on Azure, which I've used, and Project Server, which is then hosted usually on a virtual server, and then you get a database. So Project Online comes with services, and that's how you acquire the data. Project Server comes with a backend database, and you can query anything on the database because you own the database. That's really aimed for the enterprises. Project Online, I would say, you know, sort of not always the case, but I would say is aimed at the medium-sized companies. But we're interested in automating the small company. You know, the hundreds of thousands, hopefully, of people using Microsoft Project and not getting any data out. So what do we need to do to configure Project Desktop? Oh, by the way, you can have a client which is a Project Desktop to Project Online and also Project Server. So you know, the VSTO add-in for Project might actually work, but I've not got those facilities, so I can't test that. You know, so bear with me. I'll get round to it eventually. But while I'm at home, I don't have those facilities, hence that constraint. So here we are. I've added the project manager, and the project manager talks to. He or she needs to create the project management plan and resource it. You know, and where does he or she get the work, the tasks to do on the project from? Well, talk to our engineers, and I'll provide an estimate. Talk to the sales people. They'll go away and sell, whether it's, you know, ERP, could be SAP ERP or Microsoft Dynamics. It could be any Aggresso, anything. It could be some CRM project or a content management system. Doesn't matter. Or it could be something physical like a build of a shop or a house or anything. You know, you go to your engineers and your salespeople, and you work together to formulate your plan. And we need to do a few things to align that plan so that it works with the add-in in the best way. We don't want to see all the data. Well, we'll come to that, right? So when we've got our project up and running, you know, straight away the add-in will work. It's just that you might get sort of too much information if you've not configured it. You know, and we want to be precise with our information. So then our engineers, once we're up and running, will tell, in this environment, we'll tell the project manager the actual hours worked, and the project manager will type into the project desktop in this instance. As a company grows, we could have a time and attendance system, or even an expense system. You could write a VSTO application to automatically import and add the data here. But I'm not doing that. I'm just trying to give you data once it's input, you know. So with the project manager entering the information, so project manager enters the work and enters the actual hours given to them by, you know, by email or on Excel or some way, or by just sitting at someone's desk and how many hours have you worked on such and such a task this week, and, you know, verbally sometimes. And then the invoiced hours. Now, the accountants work, they tend to sum up the invoices. So you might say customer X has got an invoice for 50 man days, as we say, you know, so £50,000 in UK money and GBP. But it's up to the project manager to then apportion those hours to the tasks, you know. So we need some way of supporting that, which we do, right? I've done that, so that's available. We can be running multiple projects, so it'll work across different projects. So that's enough on the theory, but so I'm gonna switch to project now. So here we are in project, and this is a fictitious ERP project implementation. Okay, so I've made this up. So and the way to configure. So we've got some tasks, and WinPro. Hopefully, there's no WinPro company implementing ERP right now. This is nothing to do with them. A disclaimer. I've just made that up. WinPro, out of the air. You know, if there is a company WinPro, my apologies. But anyway, cracking on. So one of the first tasks here, look, is under project preparation. So we wouldn't need a kick-off meeting. So this is a project manager who has customers, and they've bought into this. We've created a plan. We've apportioned some time, some work time that we've got in hours. This project plan is in, and I like to work in hours, so the whole thing is in hours, right? So the VSTO, by the way, could be changed to calculate by days, but it, you know, it gives a lot for free, so you know, be thankful for what you've got. Anyway, so this is one of the text fields, report, and if we get an NO in there, uppercase, lowercase, but N or NO, and that task will not appear in the data. None of the summary tasks will appear, so these won't appear either. They're noise, right? We don't want to report on those, do we? Think about it. Jamie Vardy, one of our resources, worked for an hour on setting up the project plan and timelines. Good old Jamie. Setting up the RAID, the change requests, you know, all in the standard directory we've got. Charged us an hour, and it's 100% done. So for me, complete means whether the task is complete. Percent work complete is whether we've done the hours, and physical percent complete is how many of the requirements we go through. So so here was 63% through this conduct workshops, but and on this task here we've got 40 hours, and Ed has completed 100% and is, you know, achieved, is given a good initial workshop in the process of capturing gaps and running the blueprinting sessions. So Ed will be doing a write-up and charging it to that time as well. So it's all done and we're all happy. Yeah, so if we move across, looking again at the Jamie Vardy task, it cost £1,000 for the hour, you know, so we've got costed information in there, and then the actual work posted by Jamie was an hour, but we've also gone ahead and invoiced 1 hour into an invoice reference 1234. Now those 3 fields, report, invoice hours and invoice references, are in fact a custom field, and these are text fields, so text 1, text 2 and text 3, so they're reserved. So in your project, don't use them for anything else, because that's what, you know, this you'll need to configure your project as. So and that's what the VSTO add-in will work from. So and it doesn't know that the VSTO add-in code doesn't know it's called report ? It just sends out the data from the text 1 field, so they are reserved, so please don't use those. And just to be clear, so on this one we've got system setup. Jimmy Page is going to do this. Noddy Holder's doing the update the project scope if applicable. And he's done it already. Well done, Noddy. Thank you. But Jimmy Page is on the 8th of the 3rd. He's got 56 hours of work over 17.8 days, and he's done 10% complete. He's 18% through work complete and 30% through what he wanted to achieve in the initial setup. So that's pretty good, you know. That one's not too bad. The add-in actually takes this information and scores, but we'll come to that in another video. Creates a scoring, so then you can we can set thresholds in auto formatting and give, you know, red, amber, green. So it does that, and we'll come to that later. Yeah, so Jimmy Page is working on the system setup, but here, look, in the plan, so somebody's you know, often a project manager will find that the project they're working on needs to have extra tasks in, maybe. I don't like these tasks anyway. I think these are gate reviews, so should be in a list on a gate review, and the engineer should work to these. So I'm not going to report those to the customer. I'm just going to report at this level, right? An invoice against this level. That's what the customer wants to see. They don't want to see all this detail. And you've got to, you know, you might have several customers, and you're in an agile world, so you've got very little time to do things. So the level that you might plan at this level, but you might report at another level. So that's the idea of these nodes, and I'm just trying to give you an example of that. So these tasks will not appear in the data sent from project over to Project BI. So having worked on this project for a while, I've saved the project, and then I have reopened the project, and that brings up this table, which, you know, when you get used to it, there's my 1 hour invoiced, and then I can look over different information. There's the invoice reference to Jamie Vardy, and all the information about start dates, etc. And then task name if you want to see it, and look down it, up and down. So this is just to give you an idea of the information you're going to see in the files. And when you save, again, I've covered this in other videos, but when you save, just type in the name and save that away, data saved. Then you can navigate to the tasks file, and project works at different levels. One's at task and one's at resource. So all the detailed hours are stored against the resource, actually work assignments, but we won't get into the technicalities of it. So if we have a look at this file, it's a comma delimited file, and if you happen to put commas in one of your tasks, or in fact any of the text fields, it'll strip those out and just replace them with spaces. So I've tried to put in a fair amount of intelligence into the, you know, error checking rather than intelligence, into the add-in, the Microsoft Project VSTO add-in. And like I said, it has an algorithm in it to give you an overall score based on the date score and the percent score. And the date score is the relation of today's date, the report date, and today's date is the 10th of March. So today's date relative to the finish date, and then it scores it. So the higher the score, the closer it is to you. So in this one, it actually uses, it doesn't use the percent complete, I just remembered, it uses the percent complete field. So that's why we're getting the values here. In another session maybe I'll you know, describe how that algorithm works rather than stutter through it here. But you get the gist of things, right? So here's all the data in one file, and it knows it's got, this is at task level, remember. So let's have a look at the detail level. Okay, so here all the hours types are invoiced, work, actuals, and it gives day by day, you know, strips it out of the project and puts all that data here. So this is what Project BI works from. Okay, so we'll, in the next video, because this video has been going on a while, I will talk about how Project BI consumes this information. Okay, I'll also put an empty configured project in the download and also a Project BI model, but I haven't done that as of now, just in case you see this video early, but I will do that.